To start by asking you the question and just quickly hear what experience you have and what has been your interaction specifically with the skulls as they arrived. Have you had personal dealings with this, just so that we can set the context for our viewers out there? What has your dealings been specifically for the human remains to be expatriated or to be brought back to Namibia? Doctor?
Thank you. I personally did not have a personal contact, or I was not part of the delegations that went to Germany to collect the human remains. But I have tried to do my part as a lecturer to give knowledge to students as to what really has happened and what really happened and what does that mean to us as a Namibian nation.
Could you elaborate? What do you think this means for Namibians?
I think it means a lot. I mean, it's 24 years after independence, and so far we have two consignments that have returned. I think it's a closure, or it's a way of giving respect to the human remains and also the ancestor communities where these remains came from.
I'd like to bring you in, Dr. Forster, your perspective. You were present at both the first handover of these human remains to the Namibian government, and you were also present at the second one last week. Could you just describe for us the atmosphere in the room, the emotions that were on display, and how Namibians really received their human ancestors back from a country where they were so far, far away?
Let me maybe briefly mention how I came at these repatriations. I'm actually doing research as a social anthropologist, how important these repatriations are from German or European museums and what that means actually for the relationships of the concerned countries. And in that vein, I went to both ceremonies in order to see, how negotiations and how the ceremonies develop. And the interesting thing was that for Germany, the return of the Namibian human remains was actually one of the first return of human remains from formerly colonized countries whatsoever. So this was a very interesting and stirred a debate actually in Germany. Maybe I can elaborate on that a bit later as well. And now German museums are really trying to find a position on this, because they've realized in many institutions there are remains, not only from Namibia, from South Africa, from Australia, and from various other countries that have been colonized.
And then the second part of the question, when you were present in that room, what was that atmosphere like? If you could just quickly describe that for us, please.
The atmosphere in 2011 was, I think, very tense in the sense of everyone was really shocked about what had been discovered and shocked that these remains were still there. I would say this return was a bit less emotional. It was also sort of more of a routine involved, because it was their second time. Everyone tried to handle it on a technical level, very professional. That was, I think, what characterized the second return a bit more.
Dr. Riruako, I'd like to bring you in and hear just what you make of this return, and what do you make specifically of this process? What do you make of the ceremony? What do you make of the significance of ancestors coming home? Because that's essentially what they are.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity again. I was involved in the first repatriation. That's where I met my colleague on this side there. But I can tell you that when we went there, and when we even heard about these remains being in Germany, you can see the euphoria that was in the air. I mean, there was a complete sadness of what has happened, and you could see that everybody in the was in the mourning mood. It was very a solace occasion, really, and. There were also a bit of contradictions here and there when we went there, because it was, as she alluded to, the first time to repatriate this thing. And I think the German government at the time would have wanted to treat the first repatriation the way they have treated the second one. Basically a very quiet, atmosphere, giving the skulls maybe in a very isolated place, not necessarily attracting the attention that that it attracted. And we realized that the first day we arrived, when we look at the, during the briefing, when we look at the program, we realized that the program that we saw
was of technical nature.
Not necessarily technical, but it was more of, it showed as if we were there on some sort of excursion or vacation instead of a very serious situation where how we know, the type of ceremonies that precede activities like this. But then I think it was the second day when we decided, no, we need to change the tempo. We need to make sure that...
like just in terms of the significance of the of the occasion, if you could just describe that for us, because what we'd like to do is also include people out there. Yeah,
basically we decided the second day that we need to change this program. The official program can go on, but what we decided was not to drum up support from some of our colleagues who are based in Germany, and some people from the Third Reich, and some people from Namibia, and we came together as a group, and we said, no, let's change the picture a little bit, because what we are seeing is not necessarily what we are used to